I desperately want to know why Jeffrey Epstein knew so much about my work. And I want to know why he was connected to my graduate program. I was in the Harvard mathematics department. Jeffrey Epstein was absolutely connected to the Harvard math department. I want to know why.
How was he connected to the math department?
You're pushing me to say things I'm not going to say.
But I'm curious. I'm not trying to push you out.
I understand, but I'm just not going to do it. I'm saying that anybody who wants to...
You say he was connected to the math department?
To the Harvard mathematics department.
How did you know he was connected?
You can Google it. You could Google it right now. This is not... I can point at all sorts of stuff that's hidden in plain sight.
So I'll take your word for it. And the assertion that I'm picking up on is that Jeffrey Epstein was planted in your world to keep...
I'm not saying he's planted. I don't know who he was. I don't know who ran him. He certainly was not a financier in any standard sense.
Really?
That was a cover story, yes.
Well, that's the end of that one. And how is it going out there, my fellow world patriots? It is indeed Monday, February 9th, 2026. And we had to play that in the very beginning here because if you guys were here last Monday, you would have caught on to what we were speaking about. And essentially, this kind of nails exactly what Mac and Lisa were talking about. But before we get too much more into that, let's bring in said Mac and Lisa and see how they've been doing. And I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. And I had to eat a lot of crow for my team. Those Patriots, they were not in control last night. They got absolutely swarmed. And I feel bad for their quarterback because he was under pressure like almost immediately every snap. So, all right, football talk is done, unless we have to talk about any Super Bowl halftime stuff. But Miss Lisa, how is it going? How was the weekend? Hope everything's good with you, of course.
Weekend was good. A few things that I want to spew out tonight.
Spew away.
And I'm dying to just get on with the show. You know, a couple of things that I want to say.
All right, I'm into it. All right, let's rock and roll. No fuss, no muss, no all business. I like it. Mac, sir, what's going on? I know you're probably probably a Ravens fan just for the locale?
Redskins.
Oh, even worse. So, all right, I'm not even going to rub it in. But how's the week? How's everything going? What's up, brother?
I'm doing good. This past week revealed a lot of information we had questions about last week, so I'm looking forward to what we cover, and hopefully we can add in as much as possible. But the list is long, as usual. Thanks for having Lisa and I on here every week. It's an honor, and thanks to everybody that tunes in. Thanks to the mods, and keep the thumbs up coming, and just can't wait to dive into this because it seems like the Anons and Q are right about a lot of this stuff that's being revealed. We've had a heads up about it sometime in advance, so let's get to it.
Oh God, yeah, it's so much stuff too, and you're right. A lot of these, it's seemingly like the walls are kind of closing in on these people, right? And we talked about this last week, so I don't know if Lisa, did you want to take a couple minutes or to kind of discuss or put together kind of what we were talking about Epstein last week, about who is he really and what is he really not? And so Eric Weinstein.
I can remember exactly what I said, which was that there was an Epstein character that was presented, but when you look at the substance, it wasn't there. So like that guy says, and like I said last week, he was this supposedly brilliant finance guy. Remember how Steve Bannon was framing it like he was amazing, some kind of genius. And it's like, no, he wasn't. Nearly every job that he did, he got put in there, from Bear Stearns to looking after Lex Wexner's stuff. It was obvious that, as the guy says, that was his cover. And then when he talked about why was Epstein part of our mathematics department? Well, Epstein was also presenting himself as a philanthropist. And he was, Mike, I don't know what program it was, but there was some program run in New Mexico. And he went and hired, I think it was 3, they're brilliant mathematicians, to try and find whether there was a mathematical solution to predicting the stock market. Now, there is a company out there, they've been number one for 30 years, and they have an algorithm that they've used for 30 years. And they're using a method that was originally applied to something else, and they've applied it to the stock market, and they've been number one for 30 years. And he was trying to get his own algorithm that does the same, you know? And like, say, as far as being a philanthropist, well, yeah, we know he was involved in setting up the Clinton Global Health Initiative and all of that, Clinton Foundation. It's like that was about tax avoidance. And it was also about influence, because remember, the Clintons had the pay for play, which we figured out and found out, you know? And so everything that he did, he found out people's weaknesses. People were greedy and obnoxious and narcissistic. You know, he could supply it, like Mandelson. Mandelson was one of those people who gravitated to anybody with a lot of money. If you look at his history, who he hangs out with and all of that. Medvedev, the Hinduja, one of the Hinduja brothers, they're very rich. They're Indians, very, very rich. And also politics and things like that. And remember, he was this brilliant networker. No, he got his network, he was given his network. And one other thing that I want to say is to just give you an example. So, you know, they talk about his contacts in the finance world. And it's like, well, how did he get the jobs there when he didn't? There's nothing that he'd done that would warrant him having that position. And one of them is he was introduced to Deutsche Bank, and Deutsche Bank used to give him loans that he didn't have to pay back. And he didn't have to pay them back because Deutsche Bank, what they wanted was his network list, so that they could get new clients. So he'd get a loan, not pay it back. And he was introduced to Deutsche Bank by somebody who sat on the board at the time, and that was Lynn Forrester de Rothschild. And he was telling you that he worked for the Rothschilds. And Lynn Forrester de Rothschild sat on that board. She was also involved in bankrolling Hillary Clinton's first kind of exploits in being a politician. She was also the assistant to the politician in New York, where Hillary Clinton took his place when he retired or whatever. She was like his paralegal or something like that. Oh, and she also had an investment company with one of the Bronfman sisters. You know, one of the sisters that was charged regarding Nexium. And her brother had I don't know what you call it, but there's a specific name. Basically, he had space at, I can't pronounce it, Teterboro Airport, where Epstein kept his plane. And it was her father that first got that, because he used to be in the Royal, there's not the Royal Air Force, that's British, the Air Force, the American Air Force. And he got a space there, and then they built it from there. So you can see where these connections are coming in. And then other people, you know, who want to kind of not do the work to have the network, you know, they could approach Epstein, and Epstein would be like, I'll introduce you, because it was all about favors, but the favors were bribes, because somebody would owe him, or he could curry good favor with them. Or he was like, presented himself as a party man, you know, when you can see that the guy was so awkward. Well, anybody would be with a lemon dick, you know?
Well, in his defense, Lisa, I think it was egg-shaped, you know, egg-shaped.
Oh,
and what is it with
okay.
all these people, like him, and then you have the other producer, Harvey Weinstein, like they have like these deformities, but then they're like connected to like in this, like all dove into sex. You would think they would want to stay away from that stuff with odd-shaped orifices, I guess we could say. And just
Ma-
coincidentally, Lisa, where was Epstein arrested too? Oh, they just happened to pick him up at Teterboro Airport as well. So just a fun coincidence there as well.
And
Yeah,
Epstein was a part of the Trilateral Commission, which was funded by David Rockefeller, but it's really an offshoot of the Rothschilds entity, Royal Institute of International Affairs. So I think he like surrounded many different entities where he could facilitate to the Rothschilds specifically.
and then
Crazy.
yeah, and then the Maxwell connection as well. I'm convinced that Maxwell, Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, I'm convinced now that when he stole 400 million in pension funds from the UK, that basically that was his payoff. Because remember, he was like a double agent and he was a spy and they knew it. And he was knighted. He was Sir Robert Maxwell. Now, how many times have the royal family kind of made that mistake, you know? So we have the royal family doing a bit of a cover up with Virginia Giuffre. So I'm sorry, I've got to say it. Queen Elizabeth II, it's like, take some responsibility. And what I'm not happy about is the fact that we should be more outraged by what is going on. This is about children and what they were doing to children, you know, and the satanic ritual abuse of children. That should kind of cancel out any divide, whether it's political, you know, whether you're Democrat, Republican, whatever color you are, whatever culture you're from. It's like, where is our outrage? And at the same time, it's like, direct it at these people that knew what was going on and or were part of what was going on. So where is our outrage? And it's like, if you show that outrage, well, maybe, just maybe, that's part of the awakening, where we stop accepting what these people are saying, the excuses that they're giving us. You know, why did the Queen give Prince Andrew the money to pay off Virginia Giuffre if he never had anything to do with Virginia Giuffre?
Mm-hmm.
Why? And that was the Queen, right? And all of these people, that Keir Starmer, I didn't know about Mandelson. It's like, we all knew about Mandelson and his relationship with Epstein, and we also knew about his tendencies to do things that are wrong, because he got sacked twice, and twice he was kind of in effect reinstated into the government. So nobody cared what he did, but he must have done something bad because he was sacked, you know? And then it's like, well, and the political and economic influence, I'm going to stop in a second. You know, I've got a feeling, you know, he worked with Gordon Brown. Gordon Brown was the Prime Minister of the UK after Tony Blair. And what did Gordon Brown do? He sold off like half of the gold that Britain held in the Bank of England for less than market price. Less than market price, half of the gold that we have. Now, Mandelson was his like right-hand man. I wonder if, given Mandelson's contacts and the way that he was kind of helping people like Epstein make good business decisions, you know, that then was there some influence there? Because it was a ridiculous move, you know, and it's lost England a lot of money. But anyway, I could go on forever, but it's like, really and truthfully, I don't think people are as outraged as they
should be.
I think it's a process, to be honest with you. I think people have to confirm it with their friends and family half the time. Like, if you start reading into this, I mean, there's stuff with George W. Bush basically like sacrificing a child in there. Like, it's just a lot to process too. And yes, there should be a lot of outrage. To add to all this and to the conversation we had last week, it shows in these files that Epstein's probably alive as well.
Yeah.
if we want to get into those documents, we're more than welcome to. But what were you going to say, Lisa?
I was just going to say that, like, I don't think there's an excuse. It's like, if you see or know about a child being abused, what, you're going to take time to process it? No, I'm sorry. You don't have time for that rubbish.
No,
It's
I'm
like,
seeing people actually learning about the Epstein files. Not everyone's digging in like this. I've asked multiple people. They're just starting to get to the surface of it, and it's also who reports on it. So the more we get it out, the more the fake news media is going to have to cover it in some way, shape, or form. So,
well, it's interesting because I'm thinking about this, and it's like, okay, so would the fact that we are outraged about what we are hearing and all of these people being involved in it, aiding and abetting and taking part in it, it's like, well, you could probably perhaps go to, that passage in the Bible about, if anybody touches, I'm paraphrasing, if anybody touches a child, they might as well have a millstone around their neck. Somebody in the channel could actually put that verse and tell me where it's from. But the one about the millstone around the neck, yes. So it's like, well, if you want to bring back Christian philosophy and all of that, it's like, well, I think that we should be outraged. And at the same time, it's like any child that that's related to you in some way, or that you just know well, it's like, imagine that happening to them, because it has been happening to a lot of children, and their rituals and all of that. The children are involved in it. So maybe that's a way for one to wake oneself up and stop and break away from this matrix where it really doesn't touch you, because where things are dumbed down. This is bad. This is really bad, and I think that we should be. It's a point. It's a point in history where I think we have to stand up and say no more. These are the people that are running countries. These are the people that are kind of supposedly protecting human rights and all of that type of thing. It's like, come on, this is it. This is it. This is where they've just got to go. And there's no excuses from anybody. And if they do come up with something, it's like, then you should be saying sorry, and you should be making amends, and you should be holding your hands up, and you should be taking responsibility for your actions. I'm looking at the interview. I'll shut up, but I could go on about this for ages. But honestly, that's my view on it. That's my view on it. Like, not outraged enough. And we need to put the finger. Go ahead.
No, you're absolutely spot on. And me and Mac are, just so everybody in the chat knows, me and Mac have like a direct line on Zoom, and because Lisa's over, there's like a slight bit of light. So we're never trying to interrupt each other. That's not the case. But I think a good consideration that needs to be made about this also is, you guys are both spot on, right? It needs to be, and I've been saying this actually for the last couple of weeks, which is, it's up to us as a community to get more outraged about it. But the key thing, I think, is, when I was walking around my warehouse at work and saying to people, hey, did you hear about this? And no. Oh, hey, how about this? No. Like, you'd be so shocked at how little the average everyday person, say, like at my work, knew about, not even talking about Epstein, but I'm talking about like any of the stuff about politics at all. Nobody in the whole warehouse, other than me talking to them about it, had ever heard about Q before, right? Like, none of them. None of them heard about this. None of them know anything about this. But the good thing about this, I think, is, oh, you're protecting your friends. You're protecting your this, you're that. So guess what? They're all getting outraged because they think that Trump's out there protecting their friends. But what are they going to do later on after they've been screaming and foaming at the mouth for 3 to 6 months when it's put out there that, no, actually, your side as well have some very good friends that are being protected here as well? Are they just going to say, oh, it's no big deal then? I feel like we're kind of building to that, and I feel like that's why the repeats are necessary and the multiple drops over the course of 2 years is necessary. And the last thing I'll say about this one is I think they're going to be holding the worst for last. Matt, let me get Mac, and then we'll spit it back to you, Lisa. But I mean, I think they would hold the worst for last. I mean, I don't know how they're going to release it, but that would be my guess.
If this was described as a military operation from the start, to I think everyone that followed Q, even there was video prior to that, I think that in evidence that there's been an operation going on. So in how you would do an operation, there's going to be stages. So we're in these stages of disclosure, and there's a process point for people to really understand it, and then they move on to the next stage. So for basically Pizzagate and everything to do with Epstein and all these other accusations we've heard over the years where people are like, that's not true, it was actually true. And it's sad that it that we're gonna have to that everyone's the reality of it, that this is true. That's the really sad, but the good part is that God wins, and then we're all gonna get through this together. But it's unbelievable. It's almost it's so far-fetched it's hard for people to really grasp, but it is a fact, and people have to process this, and it's going to start connecting to many things, and it's a lot of information. So it's I'm waiting through this, and we'll get to it. But I think 9/11 is going to come out of this as well, which is going to be wild. But go ahead.
That would be interesting. Lisa, your friend here, well, not your friend, of course, I joke, but she apparently pled blanket fifth on everything. And so let me toss you a bone here. Let me see if this makes sense to you. Didn't she meet with Todd Blanche or whatever, and then give all sorts of testimony? But then she comes in front of this, and then she comes out and says, no, I got nothing to say. I don't know what to make of it, but I don't know. You got anything on that, or anything you want to talk about, of course, but I thought it was interesting.
Just going back to the UK, what made Prince Charles finally snap with Andrew? Guess what? He went on a walkabout with the public, and some guy went up to him and he wouldn't let go about Andrew and Epstein. And the next day, Andrew was gone from the Royal Lodge overnight. Do you see what I mean? Because we're allowing people to go, oh, well, Kate and William have got nothing to say right now. They haven't said anything. It's like, no, say something. And we need to make them say something. It's like, no, you don't get to be silent on this. You want to tell us all about all the good things that you're doing. What about this? Oh, well, they haven't made a comment yet. No, make a comment. And this is what we need to do. We need to make them respond, make them do something. So Prince Edward gets up there and he goes, oh, well, yeah, but it's about the victims. And that's all he said. And he was at some conference or whatever. That's all he said. It's like, no, you lot knew about this. You knew about Andrew. You've known about him for decades and what he gets up to. So you don't get to be silent. And at the same time, people don't get to be kind of given an easy ride on this. So all of those people that have lied, it's like, for me, it's like, you better get out there and you better explain yourself, And it's like, yeah, you can say sorry, but let's hear it, but don't act like you didn't do anything. Like you didn't lie. You did. So deal with it and then get on with it. But I just don't think anybody should be let off the hook at all. And what made Prince Charles or King Charles act was him being accosted in public. And it was on television, So all of the politicians and everything, it's like, no, hold them to account. What, you took money from him, okay? What, Epstein was in business with Harvey Weinstein and that Peltz guy. You know, they had a business with them. What do you mean that they didn't know what was going on? You
as
know?
as he's taken 5 different breaks throughout their meeting to get 5 different massages. Because
Yeah.
as I picture it, is like this dude is just like his office has a massage table off to the side, and like everybody comes in. Oh, you want a massage? It's like, oh my goodness. And yeah, it is up to us as the general public to pass this information on to the folks that don't get it and say, listen, if you feel like Trump is, protecting his friends, that's fine, but research it for yourself. Don't take other people's word for it. And when you do find out who was involved, hell, hold everybody's feet to the fire, right? I don't care, Republican, Democrat. I've said it for years. I don't care if there was actual evidence for 100% sure that Trump was doing something. That would have opened with that today if it was legit. I am not running cover, nor will I ever run cover for anybody on any of this stuff. Like, you should be dead if you mess with kids, in my opinion.
No, absolutely. Question Rihanna even. The text messages. And it's like, bring 2 kids to my hotel room or something like that. Now, is it true? Is it not? I don't know. But it's like, Naomi Campbell, you're borrowing his plane and all of that kind of thing. You've got, she's dead now, but this Nielsen lady, she was married to Nat Rothschild, and she was saying, oh, we'll get you girls and all of that kind of thing, And she was a socialite. And it's like, come on. Don't let them get away with it. Hold them accountable everywhere that they are. Do not let them walk down the street without it. Do not let them sell you a line, anything, without explaining themselves. I see, like Elon Musk put out a tweet about any victim that wants to speak up and go to court. He'll pay the court costs. And to be honest, I respect that. I respect that because it's like, it is about money as well, because all these people have a lot of money and they have a lot of influence. So it takes people like that. So it's like, you want to put something right. It's like, put your money where your mouth is and help these people and stop this from happening to children.
100%. 100%. I mean, do we, Mac? Go ahead. Have you got anything else too you want to add to that too? Because there's so much stuff on Epstein too, but there's so much other things, and we do have some gross pictures to look at as well. Lips and stuff like that. That's pretty gross. But anything you want to say first, Mac?
Yeah, I mean the ripple effect so far. There's been some resignations. I think there's been we got the kidnapping that's going on, which connects to the Clintons. That's right before their testimony and these Epstein file dumps. So, there's a lot to uncover and discuss with all this. But we do know that there's been several people that have resigned because of the backlash and finding out these people were mentioned in the Epstein files like hundreds, if not thousands of times.
Out of how many, Nike? Out of how many people mentioned, how many people have resigned? Not a lot. Not a lot in comparison in ratio. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, no, more. The guy from Cambridge Analytica, he resigned the other day, somebody else, but it's like, no. And that's interesting. The guy who owns Cambridge Analytica, who was involved in that?
That was Halper, no? The Stefan Halper?
No, I don't know his name, but
I'm pretty sure it was.
that was the company that was surveilling all of the, they kind of got lynched in a way. No, I don't mean to use that analogy, but basically they got caught. And Cambridge Analytica was, Steve Bannon was involved in it, and they were basically surveilling people. And it's because of his connection to Epstein. Think about that, surveilling using digital technology and all of that. Americans were being surveilled, by the way. Everybody was. But anyway, I think we just need to look a bit closer and be a bit more vocal about this, 100%. The TV people, the Zelensky, all of them.
They're running cover too. And actually, you know what? Just because, I want to make sure, maybe some people watch this show but don't watch any of the other shows of the week. That's a possibility. I just want to make sure to run through a couple things really quickly because I don't think this was out as of last show. And you mentioned Hillary and Bill Clinton about to testify. I think their public health is about to turn through the drops on the 14th. So I think they won't end up showing up. Maybe they'll be held in contempt. Maybe they'll just be sick. But kind of bringing that back into focus, you have all of a sudden Trump brings the leader of the Benghazi attack back to America. And it's like, wait, anybody have that one on their bingo card? So I thought that was interesting. And let me just pull up one more for you guys as well, because Lisa had mentioned this, and we can go, pretty much any way on this one, which is Savannah Guthrie's mother, right? I'm starting to think that they faked it. Like, I'm starting to think that they did this as a deterrent, and they keep going back to like the sister's house to see if if there's anything there. And I'm seeing something about a silver briefcase that they're looking for, but this one right here. Let me just pull this one up, and then I'll get Mac and Lisa's comments. This was especially creepy because on the right side is the movie Silence of the Lambs, and on the left is Savannah Guthrie here. So just to recap these last two stories from last week here.
She is full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see.
Catherine is very gentle and kind. Talk to her and you'll see.
I mean, Mac, I don't even know, like,
No, I see that.
First off, why the hell are you reading off a piece of paper? That's my first question. Like, hold on, my mom just got kidnapped. What do I want to say? My mom's a nice person, talk to her and you'll find this out. She's a great person. She doesn't deserve to have this happen to her. But no, I need to read down on a piece of paper to make sure I get out one sentence. That's very weird. And then come to find out that sentence parallels a friggin' Silence of the Lambs serial killer movie there with Anthony Hopkins. So, Mac, I'm just dumbfounded on that. And then the Benghazi. So take those wherever you want to go, or go somewhere else. That's fine. And then we'll go with Lisa.
I think in our discussing a lot of the things in which are going on behind the scenes, my mind keeps taking me back to was it United States versus Reynolds, military intelligence and president have a way around everything in order to investigate, and they don't have to let Congress or anybody know outside of a select few. And we think it's about one thing, but I think it's, there's a lot more going on with this investigation behind the scenes. So, but the Benghazi thing, that was done on purpose to kind of send us a message that it's a lot more than just, what they're saying it is. And I there's a definite investigation that's extending past Benghazi. Benghazi was a huge clue to us that this is going to go deep. And I'm excited to see what happens. I think I posted a thing in the chat for you to post or show the audience Hillary Clinton's response to testifying. I'm very, very on the similar as you guys. They're all going to plead the fifth, but we'll see what happens.
On the bottom. Oh,
right
this is
there.
her. Hey, remember,
Yeah.
what did they say before? They used to always say that nobody is above the law, and I think she actually posted that a few months back or recently. Let's see. For Hillary Clinton, February 5th, for 6 months, we engaged Republicans on the Oversight Committee in good faith. We told them what we know under oath. They ignored all of it. They moved the goalpost and turned accountability into an exercise in distraction. So let's stop the games. If you want this fight, Rep. Comer, let's have it in public. You love to talk about transparency. There's nothing more transparent than a public hearing, cameras on. We will be there. Now, you circled that for a note there. That's interesting. Well, I would like that, actually. I mean, I would like them to do it publicly, but don't they usually use the example or the excuse of, well, we can't really say certain things in public, and that way, well, yeah, well, then re-interview her later then. I want to see it publicly.
Well, I think Comer's response was that in public it becomes a performance. I'm not coming down on any side.
May I on this real quick?
But just remember her Benghazi performance. Peter Strzok's performance. They're performers. They're actors. But anyway, go on.
It's going to be made public, the audio, video, and transcripts. So the only thing that comes to mind, AI and all that stuff, but well, we shall see.
And then, Matt, you said the bigger picture going on in the background. Well, we can see that with the Epstein files, they're using Trump as the distraction, and people have swallowed that. Ali Carter, who was a victim of the Diddy parties, and also I think an Epstein victim as well. She just came out with a video more recently, and she just said, like everybody's focusing on Trump, Trump this, Trump that. And she said, Trump didn't go to Epstein Island, and we know that he was the only person to speak to the victim's lawyer, and give information. So it's like we can kind of just not go with that distraction. Yeah, you can note it, no problem, but there's a lot more going on than Trump right now. And also, like say, Mike, you said the bigger picture in the background. It's like, well, we know there's some nuke out there. Yes, we know that it was stolen. We know that Israel stole nuclear stuff from somewhere like Pennsylvania back in the day, and that's how they became a nuclear power. We know that the uranium won and what went on there. Obama, Clinton, Podesta, all of that. So my question is really what's going on the threat of what they said they do? There's kind of a conspiracy out there about 17 cities being targeted. It's like these people have got nowhere to go and their backs are up against the wall. And their structures that they've built that have been in place for like over 100 years are now kind of coming down and being exposed. So what do you do? Then there's got to be something that they've got left. There may be something that they're threatening with. And how do you deal with that without getting them to press the button? That's what I'm doing.
I think one of the threats is they're going to try to collapse the economy, and Trump's already hinted at that. If you're talking about the like war aspect and like terrorism and so forth, I mean, I at this point with the technology that I've been researching, what's that, Lisa?
No, I wasn't. I was talking more about a threat. A big threat. What's probably the biggest threat that anybody's got right now? Nuclear. Yes, but if you're military and you're running things, you're not gonna talk about that in public if it does exist because of the panic that it would cause.
So I forget who said this recently, but I think the technology that we have is so impressive that the only time that you would ever be brought out is if a nuclear strike was going to happen. So I think in some way, shape, or form, we are safe in that way. Because of national security, they can't tell us that we're essentially safe on that. But I trust what Trump says, and no one else has anything that we have, and so forth. That's including defense. And these Starlink satellites that they've been putting up have multifunctional things. So I'm just curious on all aspects of that. That is secret, but I know that we probably wouldn't find out. You can just kind of draw certain lines to it.
But wouldn't I'm not trying to scare people, and I'm just saying that, like, say, what would you do if you were in their position? You are running the world. And you've got everything hunky dory, you're screwing the people, and it's like, what would you have in your arsenal? And what if it went off? There's not a lot that anybody could do, and the only thing that I can think of is something like nuclear. Yes. So given that they've had access to that technology, and there's been a lot of movement, like Clinton wanting to give nuclear secrets to China, giving them to Iran. You know what I mean? And the uranium one. I just think there may be something in that, and maybe it's some kind of weapon. Do you see what I mean? That once it goes off.
I think that there's been many years where they've been able to track and figure all this out, so that they're taking components out systematically, where it's probably a controllable situation. I think that we've hinted at of many anomalies along the way where things have hinted at us that the good guys are in control, and I don't want to just continue to go down that rabbit hole and waste all the time of the show, but I do have that faith about the situation in our country.
Complete control. It's a big world. Maybe it's your mate.
Isn't that what Q
your mate that's doing it? And maybe the way that you are controlling it is by not getting them to press that red button. See what I mean? So you're going about your business as in dismantling things, but in a way where that won't happen. But maybe not, because you're controlling it from a psychological point of view rather than physical control. Like game theory, you kind of lock off the parameters so that people can only exist in a certain environment, so that you can more likely predict what they're going to do next, So maybe that's their last. Maybe that's their last. But I'm not saying that somebody physically has control to stop it. They're using something else to stop it, but I don't think it's, like if I think about nuclear and somebody sets off a nuclear bomb, there's no technology that's going to stop that. Because once it's on its way, or once you press that button, no, it's happening. Do you see what I mean?
What's faster than a hypersonic missile? Light, a laser. I mean, so there's ways to track this stuff.
Yeah, but wouldn't you still get the explosion? Do you see what I mean? So whatever happens.
No, you have to activate the warhead.
Really? You need an alien spaceship to deactivate. If you knew where it was. You know what I mean? Like has been done before.
And there's actually evidence of that happening before, which is pretty wild. There's video evidence of that, I believe.
What's it called? Maelstrom or something like that, where America has its biggest nuclear arsenal underground. It's from, I don't know, from it's some, maybe a couple of decades ago or more. And we've covered it on the show.
Let's take a listen to 35 seconds of Rep. Tim Burchett here, and I think I echo these sentiments. Let's take a listen, though.
Should there be an investigation or a special counsel investigation?
I don't know. I'm not an attorney. I just find them guilty and hang them publicly. I mean, that's not over the top either. I'm ready. I'm over it. It disgusts me. I'm big on clarity and transparency, and that's good reason people don't trust government, either party.
But you don't believe what the Justice Department is saying?
I don't know. No, I don't. I think I don't trust.
So he doesn't seem to believe what the Justice Department is saying, and I got to tell you, I don't really either, guys. But I'm looking at this, and I'm getting messages from people on my side that have I'm like, dude, are you not seeing what's going on here? Like churning the public.
But it does also reiterate the United States versus Reynolds, because Congress can't know, and he's not one of those people that would know. I'm taking it a step further. When the president has used the PEDS or the PEDS Act, who all is involved, and what departments would actually have knowledge of it. And I'll send that information in so you can put it up on the screen. It's pretty interesting because it follows what's going on, a path that you can see.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, I don't know which of these people would know or not know, and probably is in the dark, right? But I think they're hoping on some people not like being like us, like not remembering the beginning, because I specifically remember them searching the Epstein mansion that he got from Les Wexner in New York, and them saying, oh, there was all these tapes with names and this, that, and the other on it. And I'm like, wait, now they're saying there's no list, there's no tapes, there's no nothing. But all we start to see are people getting louder and louder out there about wanting to see everything, right? And I think that's the main goal of all of this, because, again, like I mentioned earlier, most people have little to no clue about this stuff. Like, even when they hear about Epstein, they're like, oh, yeah, I heard about this guy who's doing some stuff or whatever. It's like, but they don't really know too much about it, like very, very cursory stuff. So it is up to us to get louder. Sorry. Yeah.
Didn't Pam Bondi say that there were thousands of videos of child abuse and porn and this and that? And it's like, and where are they? Or, you know, can't, I'm not saying release them. Maybe they can't release them. But the thing is, it's like, why aren't you talking about it then? You know?
Exactly.
And at the same time,
sorry about that.
It's been, you know, I think that things are designed to pique people's interest and get their attention. You know, anything that Trump goes against, then they start focusing on, you know. So it's a bit of reverse psychology. You know, it's not interesting. Therefore, you know, they'll say, yeah, it is interesting, because they'll take the opposite view from what Trump is saying. So I think there's definitely an element of that going on. But at the same time, it's like, whilst you've got the movement, then use it. You know what I mean? It takes a lot less energy when something's moving to keep it moving, or you know, it just makes sense. Science. The one thing that is true, you know.
Oh,
anyway.
100%. And Mac, let me play this one, then I'll get your comments here, and then this is actually really funny too, guys, because I mean, of course, remember in the drops we were told, look over here, don't look over there, like, oh, Russia, China, you know, as Russia, Trump's the Russian agent, as China's doing whatever the hell they want to us, so don't look over there. But no looking at China, that's fine. But all the stuff that they do is just classic, just BS, and hope that you're an idiot and fall for it. But here we go.
And obviously, I mean, listen, the claim that Epstein was the wealth manager for Putin and was a Kremlin asset. I got to tell you, I've been researching Jeffrey Epstein for over 10 years, about 12 years now. And one of the first journalists to ever really talk about him in U.S. media. And I will tell you that this is the first time I've actually ever heard that claim. I've heard a lot of claims about Jeffrey Epstein. First time I've ever heard that he was somehow being backed by the Kremlin and that he was a Russian asset. Look, anyone who has followed anything about Jeffrey Epstein knows exactly who he was and who he worked for. There's virtually no doubt that he was a Mossad agent, that he was being funded by Mossad, just like his father-in-law, well, not father-in-law, his girlfriend's father, Robert Maxwell, was. And it becomes very clear. Yes, he had endless amounts of money. Yes, he got money from suspect sources. There is no evidence whatsoever that any of those sources were the Kremlin, the Russian government, or Vladimir Putin himself. And
you gotta love it, Mac, right? They have to go back to the well, I guess, because they have no other no other kind of retort. But again, I'm just going to stress it again. Where was all the outrage about Bill Clinton or Epstein and the island? Oh, I don't know, in 2015, 16, 17, 18, you know, all these years after Trump made it public on CPAC. But Mac, go ahead, buddy. Any comments on that? And it's just hilarious at this point, to me anyway.
No, yeah, it's just trying to get ahead of the narratives and making sure people are aware. And you know, when I find this stuff, I find it very, you know, it helps people process the information, so it's not just coming out of one person's mouth per se. You know, I did find the information on the PEDS Act at the bottom. I also have, he mentioned like Epstein's island and his like temple at the top. It actually has a strong reminiscence to as a temple of Moloch, and it's an ancient religion. I don't know if you've ever really discussed that much on the show, but I did find some interesting information about it if you want to dive into that.
I thought they kind of said it mimicked, and I'm not saying this just because it was in the movie Airplane, but I thought they said it kind of mimicked like an ancient Turkish bathhouse. I almost said Turkish prison because of the movie. Lisa, anything on that one?
No, there is some kind of bathhouse that has, you know, the relevance is the two-tone color, you know, and it's you know, they worship like Moloch, Baal, Satan, you know, all of those three, and what we would some people maybe call Lucifer, you know, they worship one, two, three, all of them, you know. Well, they have their choices, but those are the you know, that's where it's coming from. And what that guy just said then, you know, where they and even in the UK, everybody's coming up with, oh, he was a Russian asset, and it's like Russia, 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 hoax all over again. So can anybody correct me if I'm wrong here? It's okay for Western, you know, like Western intel agencies to use Epstein as an asset. And you know, you're telling me that they didn't know what he was doing. Of course they knew what he was doing, but he was getting information that they didn't have, you know, so that's okay. And so it's all right for them to use Epstein and pay Epstein and all of that kind of thing. But apparently it's not all right for Russian intelligence to do the same. I'm not saying that they did, but you see my point, you know? It's like, oh, come on. You know, if you had an intel agency and you wanted that information, then you would deal with Epstein. So what would be wrong, given that they've all done it, that some other country does it? You know, the West is always like that. It's like, you know, don't do as I do, and it's not all right. When it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you're all doing, you know.
And yeah, it's
and much more. You know?
Yeah, much more. And, you know, this is just to kind of show some of the folks. I tried to look up, like, are there more on TV? But just, this is Ellen. And, oh, well, you know, just maybe they like blue and white. Okay. And maybe
check
Peter
the
Pan. Maybe I'm Peter Pan, Mac.
There's the blue word on the message I sent down there on the chat.
Did you want me to read this one first here?
Yeah, if you want to get in that, just whichever one you want to do first. Just there's another picture and a thread to go along with the cult of Moloch, as it's called.
Yeah, Disney use it as well. They've used it for a long time. It's in a lot of their cartoons and stuff, especially the one with Mickey holding a penis, you know, Mickey and Minnie Mouse, and there's a blue penis, you know.
Little Mermaid cover,
the background to that is like the temple, you know.
The Little Mermaid? Actually, and just really quickly too, before I kind of go, I was kind of scrolling through. I was looking for deltas on the that post you dropped with Hillary Clinton, and wouldn't you know what I found when I was going through the drops is this picture. Do you guys remember this picture? Yeah, I don't know if it was I think it was the State of the Union or something, right? But they were trying to tell us back then, like, you know, these people are like having conversations and talking in here. I mean, back then it wasn't implied, but we've seen now the woman who's the rep for the Virgin Islands, that she was literally texting back and forth with Jeffrey Epstein. So look for misspellings. If there's a bunch in there, it's probably him. But I just thought maybe that's a possibility. But bringing up kind of what Mac said. Oh, Lisa, if you got something on that, go ahead.
Yeah, just on the misspelling. So, Mike, I think last week you brought up the Chidleran. The misspelling of Chidleran. Well, Chidleran means adrenochrome. Apparently. Yes?
And we got a nice
list. It
means
adrenochrome.
We got a nice little list in a little bit to show you. Some jerky and some tuna. Oh, boy. That's going to be bad.
Yeah. We'll get into that, I guess, in a little bit.
All right, do you want me? Let's see. So PEDs, guys, just so you guys know, are highly classified, and no PED has ever been declassified or publicly leaked. They're part of continuity of government planning and originating the Eisenhower administration to ensure the government can keep going during extreme emergencies, nuclear attack, or
COVID.
Or COVID, right? If a president activates PEDs, knowledge of their use would be extremely limited and tightly controlled. Only a small group of high-level officials would likely to be aware, including the White House Chief of Staff and senior advisors, White House Military Office, key personnel within the National Security Council, the Attorney General and Select Department of Justice officials, FEMA leadership, Department and Defense Military Command officials, command and control, right? Possibly the director of national intelligence. I'd say probably yes on this one. And heads of agencies like the FBI, nope. Or DHS, probably yes, right? We'll get rid of well, FBI under cash, I don't know, but like still a lot of resistance, right? Depending on the nature of the emergency, Congress is not automatically notified as PEDs are not subject to congressional oversight or disclosure requirements, unlike other classified operations. This means that even most members of Congress would not know if PEDs were activated. Due to the classified and secretive nature of these documents, public confirmation of their use, let me see, I'll do this for the folks here, get rid of that, of their use has never occurred, and their activation would likely unfold without public or broad governmental awareness. So, are we in a continuity of government, or some people call devolution or whatever, which is just one fraction of that, because continuity of government goes into many different avenues. And Mac and Lisa
Directive 51.
Yeah, Mac and Lisa had done extensive work and dropped their extensive knowledge on this all over Telegram many, I don't know, say months, years or whatever, but a long time before one of the other influencers, the binfluencers, got out there and started making his name off of it. So I just want to make that one public as well. So Mac and Lisa won't do it, but I'll do it for they won't be that crude, but I will, because I'm just kind of crude like that. But yeah, it's interesting. Like, we don't know what's going on, right? Like, does Burchett know what's going on? Does this person know what's going on? And you know what? I don't know if he's still in the Gang of Eight, but like Mark Warner, some of these Gang of Eight people may be, right? But it says not automatically notified under Congress. So
yeah, so certain aspects I think would touch on it, like national security, possibly the UAP, UFO stuff. I still think that's going to play a huge part in this, and understanding the brevity of it all. It's going to be really, really eye-opening. And it's cool because you can tell that we're in that type of disclosure movement, because the information seems to be being able to share more, and as well as new stuff is coming out. So for, any whistleblower that comes in contact with the show, we appreciate that. And all the whistleblowers out there, because it's given us a lot of truth in all the corruption that's been going on. And it's just building up the truth is not gonna, it's preventable for the liars to keep doing what they're doing, and that ultimately is where we want this to go.
Yep. And Lisa, I'm loving to see this too. Like, when I see this guy panicked, which is almost every day, and remember, this guy he's a U.S. Senator from Virginia. He is the vice chairman of the Senate Intel Committee, former member of the Gang of Eight. And I actually think I responded to him earlier on one of these ones. TikTok, Mark Warner, why did you not let President Trump know that they were illegally spying on him? You were in the Gang of Eight, quote, intelligence. So why did Nunes speak out and you did not? Inquiring minds want to know the level of your treason. Right? I mean, that's flat out what it was. He knew that they were doing that to President Trump because he was part of the Gang of Eight. And the only person to get up and do something about it was Nunes at the time. So these people are freaking out. And then when you see Slotkin and these other CIA agents come out, it's just hilarious. I'm actually enjoying to see their panic, because every day you got one of these videos. They got to take a part of their day and come out and tell you, oh, Trump's in that thing 38,000 times. And what does that do? That makes all these people go crazy and say, we want to see all the files. We want to see everything. Well, guess what? You need to look more into it than Trump. But to find that stuff on the quote on Trump stuff, they're going to need to go through many other documents that are going to probably wake them up. So I'm loving it. But Miss Lisa, anything you want to respond to on that one there?
One quick little addition to the PEDS Act, the PEDS Act, is that it's part of the nuclear football, the football of the president. So that's really interesting. It's another thing that Q's talked about, the football, and just wanted to add that. Yep.
I don't think Biden got that thing. Who knows? Who knows? Lisa, did you watch the Super Bowl at all last night? Did you watch the halftime show, the Bad Bunny, who nobody knew who it was?
No, I didn't watch Bad Bunny at all. Mr. Is it the bunny? That's his kind of avatar. Right? We know the bunny, adrenochrome. Do we know about his relationship with P. Diddy? You know, we know he had one of those.
I'm just playing this in the
I just
background.
know that it wasn't very well received. You know, whoever thought that, like, say, millions of people who don't speak a particular language would enjoy a show done in that language, they were wrong. And I put a picture in a video in there of the audience so that you can actually see in real time what their reaction was. Of all of those people in that stadium, it's like you'd see the odd person kind of moving about, but literally the crowd was still whilst he was performing, like still a football match.
This one is hilarious, Lisa. This is the CEO of them, and I'll let this play. I'll let this play as you're talking. But it says the moment Roger Goodell knew he made a mistake for the NFL by putting Bad Bunny in there. But go ahead, Lisa. You can continue on. This is so funny.
I'm interested in that because also he deleted his Instagram account immediately that he finished the show. Yes,
really?
and the media. I put a picture into the channel. You know?
Yeah, he deleted all of his content, right?
Yeah, which is hilarious because the media are trying to portray it like it was this amazing performance, and it's like if you show that video of the crowd, you'll just know it's like no, it was not. They did not appreciate it. You know, it's like, oh, come on. You know, you were trying to make a statement and it did not work. You know?
Guess who else is in the background besides Roger Goodell during this Super Bowl music performance? Mr. Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
He's the one that organizes all this.
Oh my goodness! I got it for you.
And you know, he gets his money from the other people. You know, the other wealthy people to do this. But I think have you got the? I put it in the channel.
Oh, you got the crowd? I'm sorry. I got a little bit of the crowd too here. Look at that's the Super Bowl. There's nobody. Like these 3 people are standing up. Like, where's all the movement? Like, where's all the excitedness? You got a couple of guys here and there, but you know, I don't know if we showed it last week, but I won't do it again. But you got people going up into the players and saying, "Hey, what's your favorite Bad Bunny song?" I don't know. And like one dude at the end blurted out one song, and it's probably one of his most popular ones. But essentially, none of the FBI and none of the NFL people knew who Bad Bunny was. Well, they knew who he was, but they couldn't name a song of his. But yeah, it's not. You know, it was definitely a bust out for sure. I would say, Lisa, that's not looking
and I
so
thank everyone who did not watch that portion of the Super Bowl because that was a great way for the people to fight back. I think a lot of people did tune into the Turning Point USA show. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see any of that.
Am I trying to do this one here? Oh, is it gone, Lisa? Okay. Dude, this is crazy. That's my wide receiver, dude.
I think that's called the Alcatraz of Colorado I'm not sure which state it is, but it's to make a statement of some sort. It's very timely.
Oh my godness.
And he's wearing the face mask like a Hannibal Lecter almost.
He's great, dude. He's absolutely hilarious. You know how many times like Trump mentions Hannibal Lecter, you know, which is Silence of the Lambs, the video playing earlier with the lady. So it's such an odd way to correlate all this stuff together. Is that a hint that I don't know. I don't know what kind of hint that is.
Well,
it's not really.
I want to speculate, but I don't.
but we know that the fix is in with the NFL. You know, we've seen it. We've seen the magnetic gloves. We've seen this. We've seen that. And so it's like if they're fixing games, then these players, they just have to play ball like a slave or like a prisoner.
No, that's a great statement. Yep.
Because they're paying them, so they got to do what they're paid for to get that result that they've decided. You know, I think it was decided that the Seahawks would win, quite possibly. How would you feel if you had to play? You know, you're a sports person, and it's like you've got to curb your enthusiasm as to the game that you love. You know, the thing that you're good at.
I think everyone's played a sport where they thought they had a bad referee or a bad umpire.
Oh God.
Yeah.
For sure.
Times that times whatever the main stage of professional sports is, and I'd be furious.
Oh, my phone. Did you hear that? I don't know if you guys heard that. If it picked up on
Very
the mic.
little.
Yeah, my phone just literally started playing Twitter by itself. Literally just started playing. Now, I just want to give you guys a little bit of clarity because this dude is Matt Collins. He's our wide receiver, and he's known to be a little out there, right? So just to kind of give you things that he does, right? This was the week before when they arrived to go play Denver at Denver Stadium.
Come out to play, Warriors!
So he always does some kind of weird thing on his way in, and that's from the movie. I think it was called The Warriors, right? The Warriors killed Cyrus, and that's the outfit there. Come out to play. So yeah, he's a little nut job, but it is interesting that he did wear Hannibal Lecter, especially with all the information and nasty stuff that we're seeing out today. And yeah, Roger Goodell did not look happy at all. And I wasn't going to play this, but I did get a little, Bree had sent me this in. I guess this was just before, about an hour before the show. So I'm kind of going off the script, guys, here a little bit, but kind of somewhat breaking news. I mean, there's Providence, Rhode Island police have released redacted body cam footage from December's mass shooting at Brown University. It comes after multiple surveillance cameras were not operational during the incident, prompting growing concerns about campus security and monitoring failures from the December's mass shooting.
It was no failure, if you remember, because they're so woke. They decided that it wasn't good to have these cameras on, so they turned them all off, and they'd already had like their system upgraded. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of took it off the thing. I didn't want to show anything. If there is stuff, it does give you a warning here in the beginning. So I just didn't want to show anything that may be actual shooting stuff, but I'll drop this in the link, and thank you for sending that over, Bree. Always good to have a little extra information there. And it is a 20-minute video, guys, so I'm dropping it to you here. I'm trying to drop it in Rumble Studio. I know that will probably only go to YouTube and Rumble is my guess. Let me get it over to the Foxhole. But yeah, we'll see. I'll take a look at that stuff tonight. But yeah, we definitely have other other stuff on the plate for today. Kind of in regards to... Oh, actually, you know what? Let's round out the Super Bowl really quick here. As far as things that happen. Hey, you just won the Super Bowl. You got a huge bonus, guys. Take a listen to this. Oh, wait, Mike, you muted it because you didn't want to play that other thing here. Hold on. We'll unmute you. No, unmute you. There we go. Listen to this. Boomer Esiason. Crazy.
Super Bowl. The winning team, each player gets $178,000. In other words, the Super Bowl isn't a part of their salary. And because the game was played in California, and California has a jock tax, and they look at duty days, so each team spends 7 days in the state of California. So those are 7 duty days, and they pierce your regular salary at 3.5%. So he has to pay... When you take in account he got the $178,000 plus his overall salary, he has to pay the state of California for spending 7 days there $249,000.
That's just so stupid.
I mean, how ridiculous, right? And so they're actually saying, people are out there saying, like, you know, people saying that he actually said at the end, the NFL Players Association should shut down any future Super Bowls in California. And it says the Super Bowl's in LA next year. Why would you do that to people? But I mean, there you go. Each player, I mean, that guy's just one dude, $249,000 for what? For bringing in tons of business into the state? You're welcome.
Yeah, right? I mean, how many teams are in California? I think 5.
I don't know. I mean, I know you had
there might be a little
2 or 3.
There might be a little collusion going on behind the scenes, and that might be why this is playing out the way it is with the NFL. So I truly wonder. I also question their charities. I think the United Way is one of them. The other one they just came up with is pro woke LGBTQ affinity. Every letter in the alphabet group. So
You just mentioned LA. Did we talk about Karen Bass and what has come out more recently? That the fire department did a report, quite a long report, where they admitted to delays, but the reason for the delays and all of that, it was a very honest report. And all of the changes that have been made were suggested by Karen Bass, who said that she didn't make any changes. But things like where they've said, we're accountable for the delays because ABC, she's made them change it to say something completely different. And people read the original report, so now she's actually in trouble because she's just lied. And all of the changes are covering up the involvement of the state and the local government, including her. Yeah.
They're screwed. You even got the insurance companies going after them too. The insurance companies are joining the residents to go after the state.
Yes, brilliant.
As they should.
Brilliant. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, and let's not kid ourselves and be like, wow, they're doing the right thing. Great people. No, they just don't want to pay it. You know what I mean? But it is good that they are doing that for sure. I think. All right. So California, we're done with the Super Bowl. I think one more story from California. Your favorite and my favorite, ladies and gentlemen, Governor Chartwell. California governor race thrown into chaos as Democrat candidate Eric Swalwell is accused of lying about living in state. So, just long story short here, guys, he's got a house. This guy was I guess he's a journalist or whatever. He's been checking out his stuff and said, well, his real house is a $1.2 million 6-bedroom mansion in Washington, D.C., which he shares with his wife, Brittany Watts, and some lady named Fang Fang, and their 2 adopted Chinese kids now, and their 3 children. According to the complaint, the Swish property was listed as the couple's principal residence when they took out a mortgage in April of 2022. And if that terminology sounds at all familiar to you, fine, ladies and gentlemen out there, principal residence, you may be remembering that from, Adam Schiff, how he has a house in California and one in, Virginia, Washington, wherever the hell it is, but also listed his Washington, D.C. as his primary residence, as all these people do, because why? You get a better rate. Well, if you have a house in California, you say that's your primary residence, you get a better rate, but if you go over here and you say that's one, you get a better rate there. And sometimes these people are doing both. I'm not going to lay that on them, but I would so love to see Chartwell never get any more power. That dude is the biggest. He just itches me the wrong way. Let's just put it that way. So, if you guys got any comments on him, go ahead. Yep.
Got memory lane meme. Meme I made. If you want to break.
Yes. Yeah, do it. We need to lighten the mood a bit. You know.
If it's got anything to do with farts,
mood, but you need to turn up the volume.
All right, let's. All right, Mac, Lisa, silent for a second so I can turn up the gain on this one here. And
who were on the phone listening to the president talk about this swap of dirt for U.S. military aid.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from Republicans all last week was that you don't have anyone who heard the call.
I got to see that part because I think he kind of
that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from
it was a little pause there, right? Like cheating.
Yeah,
little push.
Like he had to lift a cheek or two, you know?
He had to lean over the side.
To help him cheat an election. And the complaint that
all right, sorry, I promised last time.
Taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint
that was a definite push.
That was definitely a pause push. Oh,
why with a lift off?
Oh yeah, I'm so good to not see him. And this is what you were talking about, Lisa, the crowd.
Like this is the crowd whilst he's performing.
Oh wow, they're like banging, huh? That place is
rip roaring. I mean, this is look at it.
Oh, he's they are rip roaring.
There's hardly anybody moving.
Are you allowed to
Yeah.
play Michael Jackson's halftime show from like?
I mean, I'll get a copyright violation on YouTube, but at this point, I really just don't care. So, I mean, I'll play whatever.
Let me see if I can find it.
It's cool when you just don't care
But
anymore.
if we critique it and you only play 60 seconds, then it's fair play.
Well, you know what I'll get? I'll get a thing that'll tell me I can't monetize that video, which is on par with every other video because it's been 4 months until they've decided to not answer me still. So that's what they're going to keep me in limbo.
Maybe you can skip through it in certain parts, but I mean, it's also about how Michael was always about protecting the children, helping the children, even though it seems like publicly he had a really different story.
Oh yeah,
but
I mean, dude, did you believe it in the beginning, like when you were younger? Because I did.
I know. I mean, it was so hard for me to believe, given I thought that he was a nice person, and I just didn't think that anybody did that. I thought it was like, So I didn't know anything about pedophilia growing up. So this was like one of the first times I've ever heard of it.
Yeah, like when I heard it at first, like the first allegations that came out, I was like, all right, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. And then, just like with anything, the more you hear about allegations,
but that
spinning
was
around.
Prior to me getting into high school. So
okay, yeah, that's right. True.
Yeah, so once I got into high school, I ended up finding out that there was that stuff in the world. But
how about you, Lisa? I believed it, so I mean.
Well, I just know that Kamala Harris was behind. She was the Attorney General, wasn't she, around the time of the allegations?
Oh,
and
God,
she was the
really?
one. He was the one. Yeah, we played the video on the show. She was the one. She talked about it.
Is that him?
Remember,
a little older?
she was all over Willie Brown. And she got she only spent like maybe a couple of days here and a couple of days there on the job while she was doing something else. But she was the AG at the time, and there's an interview where she talks about Michael Jackson and bringing him, bringing it to court.
Yeah, and that's Macaulay Culkin right there, isn't it? That's him a little older. Yeah. And so that right there for me, that backs up the story that he's not, because like if you were young when you were like this, like 5, 6, 7, 8 or whatever, and some guy was abusing you. And remember, you got to kind of go fast forward to the point where Macaulay Culkin sued his parents. I think they made it the Culkin rule. So he had his own money at this point, and like, wait, I got my own money. I can go buy whatever I want. Yeah, but I'm gonna go over and hang out with the guy that used to abuse me all the time. So it doesn't make sense.
No. The news story is that he was protecting children, so from the people that were trying to traffic them. And Aaron Carter was another person. Remember, he lived for a little while, and so I forget how he died. If it was drugs or something else. But there is a definite two-sided to the coin, and I think this is going to legitimize, probably Michael, hopefully in a good light. But I'm optimistic. I'll say that.
Yeah, sure.
Well, given that Macaulay Culkin, he was the one that took his parents to court, and got a divorce from his parents because of the way that they treated him like a cash cow and all of that kind of thing. He sounds like a person that would speak up if that was happening, because he took his parents to court at that age, at such a young age. To remember that, he's not some kind of weak. He's strong, as President Trump would say.
The way he died is also very suspicious to me. So I that's why I say he was killed, or taken out. But the rest of this video, it shows Michael Jackson's Super Bowl performance, "We Are the World." So it's very symbolic if you want to play it in the background.
Well, when he, if I remember rightly, Michael Jackson was the biggest revenue puller for Sony ever that they had, and he represented, I think, over 50% of their revenue. And then he decided that he, I think, wanted to kind of step out on his own, and also he bought the Beatles catalog, and that was worth a fortune, and he was going against the masters, let's say.
Tommy Mottola specifically.
Huge company. And, that was going on at the same time. And, with artists, they make more money, often make more money when they're dead.
Oh,
believe it
hugely.
or not.
I think, I got a good one for you. So basically, if this has got, let me see.
Files, the document.
I think this must not be the video. Yeah, this must not be the. I gotta find the halftime, but this is.
Okay, well
listen to this.
We said it.
You're gonna like this one though, guys. I think.
People can look it up, but it's a good performance, and it shows the whole point was to show the difference between this year's and past performances we've had.
So satanic all the time. It's like disgusting. But how long is this? This looks extra short. So let's see here.
And Tommy Mottola is a devil. And Tommy Mottola is a devil.
So remember, she was married to what's her name there?
Mariah Carey.
Yes, thank you. Mariah Carey, and took advantage of her and was horrible to her. And she reached out to Michael, and this is kind of why he's doing this. And then he had his own thing with Sony, as Lisa was mentioning earlier. But I think he got his revenge, and maybe they did in the end, but I don't know. Maybe they faked his death or something. People talk about that video of Dave going on Larry King. Did you guys ever see that one? That was so
Dave, the one who supposedly had all of the burns.
Right? And he was supposedly really good friends with?
Dave.
MJ.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if there's much video of him separately aside... talking.
You say that. I just put in the bottom there somewhere, and you could probably play a few seconds of it. But it's about doubles.
Oh, okay.
Have a listen to it. You could play about a minute. It's maybe longer than a minute, but it's about doubles.
All right, we're gonna get right into that doubles.
As soon as we're on that subject,
yeah, for sure. We'll get to that doubles after we show a possible double here. Good.
If you haven't already, for people that don't know, what's the story behind this before this interview? I don't think they explain it in it, do they?
No, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Michael had died, but go ahead. I mean, as far as his relationship with this dude.
It was alleged that Michael Jackson was burned in a rehearsal before a concert, and that is actually Michael Jackson on the left, and they replaced the injured Michael Jackson with the real Michael Jackson that we know after that point. That was the rumor.
Or maybe this dude is dressing up like Michael.
Does anybody remember like an early rally of Trump's in 2016? And there was a woman that looked like Prince. There was somebody that looked like, there was all of these lookalikes. And I think that even Tupac a lookalike, and then Joni Mitchell was there, and somebody else. And Trump kept on pointing to these people in the background. It's an interesting video, look it up. I can't remember where it was. But I'm saying that there were all of these people that look like doubles or whatever, they look like these people that had supposedly died.
They even, in the Epstein files, even say that Joe Biden was a robot. I mean, he's replaced.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, have a look at that.
So, like, the technology is there. I mean, I've made videos matching the exact steps of him. I can even find it. It's kind of funny, of another robot walking in sync with him. And it's, it's just like throw some whatever masks and stuff they do to make them look human. And there you go.
Absolutely. All right. So let's take a listen to this, guys. And what I want everybody in the crowd to listen for, because I don't know if there may be an interview with this guy on like Oprah or something separately before Michael died, and that's what I would like to compare his voice to. But he does have a very, very soft voice like Michael here. So I'll let you guys decide whether you think it. I'm going to look over the chat and see what the general consensus is.
But I always loved his music. And my mother surprised me one day and brought me up to Neverland. And I entered an arcade, and there were all these Paul McCartney records all over this. The Girl Is Mine, and this and that. And I remember sitting down, and at the time, my favorite video games, my favorite video game was Pole Position. And I was playing Pole Position, and I felt a little tap on my shoulder. And I turned around, and there was Michael. And you know what, Larry? At that moment, we embraced, and that embrace never ended. But I always loved his music.
I never heard that part of it. Our embrace never ended. So that's interesting. And remember, too, we had the weird thing about Larry King with Donald Trump on there talking about how JFK Jr. wrote him a letter about his father dying after JFK died. So that was weird, too. just a little trip down memory lane. And let me get to Lisa's double video. But yeah, any comments? Go ahead, guys. That's crazy. That is bananas. Did you say you strapped something at the bottom, Lisa, or was that it? Oh, you said doubles.
The two scientists.
Oh, you may have put it in a different one.
Clones. Just type in clones, you'll find it.
Hello.
Maybe it's further up.
Clones? Oh, wait. It's spelled right. You must have dropped it in your thingy. Clones.
No, it's in there.
Clone? I don't see nada for clones.
I'll find it again. One
Yeah,
sec.
just drop it down the bottom when you get a chance. That's no biggie. No biggie. We got plenty more other stuff. I think we definitely, and I should have touched on this a little bit earlier, guys, so I apologize. And I did a little checking on that other one, Mac. I don't know if that one's AI about our friend Steve Bannon there. And I'm not going to play the whole video here, but I'll just play the little pertinent part in the middle here.
I've had the displeasure of coming across this picture and video in the files, and it has
all right, blah, 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 blah.
in the alley, and he was trying to enjoy you, and I'd like to hang out with you some more. So they hung out at the club until they